What's up, folks? Welcome back to TacticalTortoise. My name is Trevi, and it's time for another quick spoiler video regarding some recent rules from the Arks of Omen GT pack that have been revealed both within the community and over on Warhammer TV. Today, Warhammer TV released a battle report featuring Necrons versus Imperial Guard that used the new Arks of Omen GT season rules. And from that, we're able to glean a bunch of different changes. So let's talk about some of the core changes to army list creation, how the game is set up, as well as some new secondary objective changes that we're going to be playing with in this upcoming season. Now, first off, the first page of the Grand Tournament game sequence has been leaked over on the internet. Mostly it confirms things that were either true of the previous season or that we knew already. The game will continue to play with 6 command points, and armies are composed of a single Arks of Omen detachment. In addition to the Arks of Omen detachment, the only other detachment that you can bring is a allied detachment that is either a patrol or super heavy auxiliary. These additional detachments are always 0 command points and are restricted by the faction that can be taken per the new allied detachment rules, but those are not in this leak. We also just have confirmation of some other stuff. The Warlord Trait Relic and Heroic Support stratagems are included on this page, and the rule of 3 or 2 in an incursion game still applies. Good stuff. Now for the more exciting things. We do have a couple huge changes to the game, and ones that I'm not entirely sure are going to be particularly healthy. Now, the video battle report on Warhammer TV gives us some interesting insights into specifics on how the new season will function, and not all of them may be good. Although, take this as a little bit of a grain of salt, since these battle reports are highly dramatized and edited, so some of the mechanical details may not entirely be accurate. The most obvious thing is the mission being played is Abandoned Sanctuaries, and it seems basically identical to the mission that already exists in the GT Nephilim pack. This speaks to me that probably the missions themselves aren't going to be changing too much, just the framework surrounding them. Now, probably the single biggest change that is heralded in this battle report is one to deployment. In the game, the players deployed their entire army first before the roll to go first. Now, assuming that this isn't just clever editing by the team and, I don't know, maybe a misrepresentation of game mechanics, this change is utterly baffling. While I agree with full army deployment in concept, given the fact that it dramatically reduces the time to play a game of GT 40K, giving one player the advantage of seeing the other player's entire deployment means that that roll for attacker-defender is going to be incredibly impactful. If you know where all your opponent's big guns are and you can pre-measure out their potential threat ranges and arcs of fire, you can very easily save your most important units from any of their ranged attacks or early alpha strikes. Now, that wouldn't necessarily be so bad if your opponent also got the advantage of going first, but that may not be the case because, like we see in the video, the players do roll off to go first after that deployment step is completed, the winner then choosing whether or not they're going to go first.
I won the roll off for the first turn, and I chose to go first.
This means that both the attacker-defender role is incredibly important, and the initiative role is also incredibly important, and I think there's going to be a lot of situations where one player wins both of those roles, gets the advantage of deployment, and potentially gets the ability to alpha strike their opponent or go second, depending on what is more beneficial to them in the matchup. Now, a deploy first, go first style of pregame is something that the community has been hollering for since the original release of the GT packet, and this is such a nonsensical and half-assed implementation that it just boggles my mind. I really hope that this may just be sort of a mistake in the editing of the video, and that's not actually how this GT packet works, because if it does, I think we're maybe in for what might be a little bit of a nothing burger of a season. First versus second Warhammer 40K is such a big deal, and it has so many additional rules around it in order to try to curb the power of one or the other, that leaving both that and deployment up to chance at the beginning of the game is just flabbergasting. Here's hoping that it is a deploy first, a go first thing, but if it's not, man, I'm not super excited. Now, the other changes that were noticed within this video are some changes to secondary objectives and a couple other mechanical changes. First off, Assassination has been noted to have a progressive component added that buffs the objective, if only very slightly. Not only does it score 3 victory points for each destroyed character at the end of the game, 4 if it's the Warlord, but it can also score you a command point if one of those characters is killed by an Armiger, War Dog, or Troops unit. This gives armies with strong troops options weapons, the ability to potentially farm some CP, but I think that we may see a lot of objectives, especially non-maneuver style objectives, try to incentivize the inclusion of troops in the army, although whether or not that actually works is going to be questionable, given that most troops in the game are not capable, or it's unlikely that they will kill strong character units. We have confirmation that Bring It Down is remaining the same. Now, we also have confirmation that Raise the Banners High is still in the format. You can take it as a secondary objective, although what it does is open to debate, because 2 separate versions of the Raise the Banners High secondary are shown in the video. Both the Warzone Nephilim version, where banners are removed at the start of any command phase, and the GT Nachmund version, where banners are removed at the start of any phase. So what this secondary does is open for debate. Ancient Machineries has moved to be a little bit more restrictive, only able to be completed by core bikers, infantry, and Canoptex. And Treasures of the Aeons has gotten a little bit of a hit, scoring now 4 victory points for holding 3 objective markers instead of 5. On the Astra Militarum side, Inflexible Command has also seen a revision. It now checks for platoon infantry and squadron units rather than just infantry and vehicles wholesale, scoring 2 victory points if every platoon infantry is within 6 inches of an officer, 1 victory point if all your squadron units are within 12 inches of an officer, although importantly, not necessarily a vehicle officer, and retaining the additional victory points for destroying a unit with an Astra Militarum unit being affected by an order. It also retains the increased aura range for this for Voxcaster units, and similarly allows officers in transports to broadcast the aura for this from the transport itself. Now, there is a mention in the video as well that the Eternal Conquerors and Relentlessly Expansionist combo has been removed, with a note that you cannot pick a Circumstance of Awakening if you're creating a custom dynasty and pick Eternal Conquerors for Necrons.
As I've taken this, I don't get to use a Circumstances of Awakening, but to be fair, it's pretty powerful.
I think this basically just removes Eternal Conquerors from the game entirely, since you're just going to play Nylok if you want the same effect. It's the same effect, but you also get stratagems and stuff, so it's just strictly better, which is unfortunate. I think that was kind of maybe the least elegant solution to that combo, but it is what it is. Anyway, that's all of the spoilers from this Warhammer TV battle report. You can go check it out on the Warhammer TV subscription service. I did get myself a subscription to that so I could go through and review all of the changes that had been reported there. Please drop a like on the video and share it around because I'm out $6 making this video. So far, these changes seem not great. Also a little confusing, as we talked about before. There are certainly some mistakes in the battle report which kind of throw all of the other changes into question, and we'll just have to wait until this weekend or sometime next week when we get the full spoilers of the new GT packet. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video, everyone. Remember to keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming. It is time for another quick spoiler video to discuss Inky. We're not discussing you.